For your money, all other things being equal, who's the best wide receiver in this year's class?
I'm going to stick with Jeudy. Greeny, I've had him all year, that number one. I don't want to change that. I compared him to Marvin Harrison back during the season. Smooth. I mean, you think about consistency. Everybody has a drop or two. You can nitpick that. Ran 4.45, which is plenty fast enough. People are looking for, he's not 4.45. Are you kidding me? So again, I'll stick with Jeudy. But the depth at this position is the reason why we're talking about it. Not just the 6-7 first rounders and the 6-7, 8 second rounders. It's the depth into the 5th, 6th, 7th round that is making this wide receiver class pretty special.
And I just brought up a number when I had Laura and Neek talking about this, and I'd be curious to get your perspective. Going back over the last 20 years, of all the different positions, the one least likely amongst first-rounders to get a second contract from their team are the wide receivers, and it's by a wide margin. Only 29% of the receivers who were drafted in the first round wind up getting a second contract from their team. Why do you think that is? Is this position harder to evaluate than the others?
It's the coming out of college. It was that, the systems that they were playing in. Greeny, you think about Corey Coleman, remember the Baylor receivers. A lot of these guys could not transition in terms of route running, and I think when you look at that route tree that they used to run and they didn't, and it became throw it all over the yard. Run here if I'm open, he'll throw it to me. Then run a little deeper, and then run deeper into the end zone. That's not getting it done in the NFL. So I think the fact that we didn't have, remember we were talking maybe 6-7 years ago, there was no number ones being developed. There was only 5 or 6 true number one options. We used to have that all over the NFL. So college football was throwing it, but they weren't developing route runners. And now I think we're getting a little bit back to that, and it's a little easier now for these receivers. But some of them are going to have a little bit of a tough time transitioning. So I think it's getting better. This is one of the best receiver cores we've seen in a while, and hopefully it will continue because the NFL needs it.
All right, Mel, stay with me a minute here because I want to get your or Rex's reaction to some of the stuff we talked about yesterday. Because as we look back at Mel Kiper's mock draft that was released yesterday morning live here on Get Up, of course, Joe Burrow remains the projected number 1 pick in this draft and in line to be the 3rd straight Heisman winner to be selected number 1 overall. So that's not a surprise, and neither is the number 2 pick, Chase Young, who again will join us live an hour from now here. Finished last year number 1 in the country with 16.5 sacks, and that was despite not playing in every game. Jeff Okudah, who was live with us yesterday, is in at number 3. No one threw the ball anywhere near him during his time at Ohio State. He is your lockdown cover corner. And then outside linebacker Isaiah Simmons is at 4, the very versatile linebacker out of Clemson. So there were no surprises there. But the real interesting point of conversation with Mel's mock draft came at number 5, where for the longest time we've anticipated Tua Tagovailoa going to the Dolphins, and now Mel has moved Justin Herbert ahead. And there's no mystery here. Obviously, the questions are all about the health with Tua. And so Rex is back. I have no idea how we're trying to make this happen here as we're having all kinds of technical issues. But Rex, you have been a fan of Justin Herbert through the majority of this process. What was your reaction to Mel moving Herbert ahead of Tua in his projection?
Yeah, I was shocked by it, quite honestly, because I think Tua is by far head and shoulders the better player. But again, this has nothing to do with the type of player. Herbert is an excellent player, but Tua could be a generational type talent. Unfortunately for him, he's had so many injuries, and there's a couple of huge questions. Number one, is he really healed from his past surgery? And the other one is, will he be able to stay healthy? I think that's the one that's concerning everybody right now. It's the only reason that this young man would slip below Herbert.
Yeah, and I just very quickly, as I bring Mel back into the conversation, I can't be the only one who finds the way that we're communicating with Rex hilarious right now. Let's not ignore the elephant in the room, okay? And Rex, you're doing great, and we're all doing the best we can here under the circumstances. Mel, I'll come back to you because that really is going to be the most fascinating spot to watch. If the first 4 off the board are what they are, again, you're not projecting that you like you like Herbert better than Tua. You're projecting from what you hear that this is the way you expect it to fall.
Yeah, the entire mock first and second round is about what you're hearing, Greeny, and where players may go, not the way they are rated. Everybody has different opinions on ratings, but this is a mock. And right now it seems like Herbert is slightly ahead. But that's Miami's not going to tell anybody. Rex knows this. You don't tell anybody what you're doing because you want everybody to be guessing, and you want that guy to fall to you that you really want. So the signals that come out sometimes aren't accurate, so you got to be careful about that. But what you're hearing is Herbert slightly ahead. And I put Tua 6 for the Chargers. I think that would be a really good landing spot for him.
Okay, as I want to bring Domonique into the conversation as well here, because for all three of you, this is something that came up at our meeting this morning, and I think it's an interesting question. Because, Mel, in your projection, after the first pick, which is a quarterback, you have three defensive players in a row, and they all do totally different things. You have Chase Young, who is your classic pass rusher. You have Jeff Okudah, who is your shutdown corner. And you have Isaiah Simmons, who is the versatile linebacker. So if I can go back to Rex quickly here, Rex, as the defensive mind that you are, which of those three positions, taking the players out of the equation, but which of those three positions is the most valuable in defensive football circa 2020?
Well, it's the pass rusher. And the reason I say that, Mel, is the fact that he can affect every single throw. Where a corner can only take one man out of the equation. So I think of the five eligibles, he can only cover one of them. Now, with that being said, if you get an unusual guy, like this Jeff Okudah, to me, is probably the best corner that's come into the National Football League since Jalen Ramsey. So to me, he is so special that there's no way he makes it past four, for sure. But they're super rare. Obviously, Greeny, you remember the days of Darrelle Revis. We might not have had great pass rushers, but we had the best corner maybe in the history of the game. So to me, if you get a special talent like that, man, he makes that defense so much better. Both are rare to find, but in theory, the pass rusher would be the guy you build your defense around because he can affect every single throw and not just one man.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.